On April 10, 1912, the grandest moving object ever constructed by human hands set sail from Southampton on its maiden voyage. It was hailed as the crown jewel of modern engineering, a floating luxury palace practically immune to the perils of the open ocean. Yet, just 4 days later, in less than 3 hours, the RMS Titanic lay broken at the bottom of the North Atlantic, taking over 1,500 lives with it into the freezing darkness. For over a century, we've known that she struck an iceberg and sank. But when you examine the exact timeline, you realize this disaster wasn't a sudden, unavoidable twist of fate. It was a catastrophic chain reaction of small, fatal mistakes, ignored warnings, and tragic human overconfidence that doomed the unsinkable ship before the iceberg was ever spotted. The unsinkable ship and warnings. To understand the sheer shock of this disaster, you first have to grasp what Titanic represented to the world in 1912. Built in Belfast by Harland and Wolff, she stretched nearly 3 football fields long and towered 11 stories high. Inside, she carried over 2,200 souls. From world-renowned millionaires dining in lavish saloons to hopeful immigrants packed into third class, chasing a better life in America. Her safety was supposedly guaranteed by 16 advanced watertight compartments, leading newspapers to declare her practically unsinkable. But that supreme confidence bred fatal carelessness. Crucial ice warnings sent by nearby ships were ignored or delayed by wireless operators swamped with passenger messages, and lifeboats were treated as an afterthought rather than a necessity. The fatal encounter. On the night of April 14th, the Atlantic was eerily flat and frozen. Despite receiving at least 6 direct ice warnings, Titanic pushed forward at a blistering speed of 22 knots into the danger zone. At 11:40 p.m., lookout Frederick Fleet peered into the darkness and spotted a towering black shape cutting through the mist. He struck the alarm bell 3 times and yelled into the phone, "Iceberg, right ahead." First Officer Murdoch immediately ordered hard a starboard and reversed the engines. But a 46,000-ton ocean liner moving at full speed cannot turn in seconds. The iceberg scraped along the starboard hull, slicing through steel plates below the waterline and flooding 5 compartment rooms. Sinking was no longer a possibility. It was a mathematical certainty. Hidden flaws and critical errors. In the moments following the collision, a series of overlooked details and human errors turned a bad situation into an inevitable tragedy. Lookouts in the crow's nest had been forced to scan the pitch-black horizon with their bare eyes. The key to the binoculars cabinet had been accidentally left behind in Southampton when an officer was reassigned at the last minute. Furthermore, despite knowing ice lay directly ahead, Titanic was traveling near its top speed of 22 knots to set a passage record. Beneath the waterline, metallurgical analysis later revealed that the iron rivets securing the bow plates were brittle and high in slag, causing them to shear off easily upon impact. Perhaps worst of all, precious time was lost in the initial 30 minutes after impact as the gravity of the situation was downplayed to prevent immediate panic. The sinking and legacy. At 12:15 a.m., the first distress rockets shattered the night sky. What followed was 160 agonizing minutes of escalating chaos. Titanic carried only 20 lifeboats, enough for barely half the passengers, because outdated regulations had never anticipated ships of this magnitude. To make matters worse, early panic and confusion meant many boats were lowered half-empty. Meanwhile, just miles away, the SS Californian sat motionless, her wireless operator asleep. At 2:20 a.m., Titanic's massive stern lifted vertically into the sky. The ship snapped in two under immense pressure, and slipped forever into the freezing sea. This monumental tragedy forever altered maritime laws, mandating 24-hour radio watches, lifeboats for every person on board, and international ice patrols. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, please like this video and subscribe to Randoms, the stories you never knew about.